Yeah, so Rameshji, let me unmute yourself, and we will. Yeah, go ahead, Rameshji.
Yeah, today I found a sloka, tribute to the gurus. I felt it's very appropriate to uh, praise the guru or give a token of appreciation. But the meaning is pretty difficult to understand. Could you please explain that sloka?
So which shloka is that?
I can play this one.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, you can pause that. So yeah, so that video that you had sent.
Yes, sir.
So the video itself has the meaning of the shloka.
Yes, yes, it is there.
It is really in praise of. So it says, very beautiful. It says you may be accomplished in so many different areas, and but if you don't have that, if you don't have a teacher who can really teach you, and if you don't have somebody whose feet you can fall at, then what use is all that? Tatah kim, like that it says. And you can be famous. You can be famous here in this country. You can be famous in other countries. Big man, big woman. But what is the use? Like that it says. And so very interesting. A list of things like that is given. So
I thought it's very appropriate to all the effort taken to teach us Bhagavad Gita and then guiding us on the right path. I thought it's very appropriate to post that one. That's why I put it there. Thank you.
Yeah, so it's called Guruvashtakam. I think it's Guruvashtakam is what it's called. That whole eight stanzas are there, and so it's beautiful. It's in praise of our teachers, and so very interesting, right? Because of the nature of what we are seeking, and so the whole process becomes very sacred. And so it's good that lady sang quite well, and simply sung, nicely sung. It was very touching. The meaning is very touching also. Yeah, thanks for sending that.
Thank you. I really appreciate all the effort. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, so it's all Swamiji's grace, all our Acharya's grace, and so that's the grace that brings you also. All of us need that kataksham so that we can study together. Yeah. Thanks.
Thanks.
Anybody else? Okay. So
they have already given, Duryodhan said that they have already given their lives. But in the book which we have got, right, it says they have determined to give their lives, right? So is it equivalent, like if determined or given up?
yeah. Literal meaning is tekta jivitaha, means given up. Tekta jivitaha. So tekta, because tekta is past tense, and jivitaha is also past tense. So they were alive. People who were alive, something like that. Tektaha. So it's like saying they are here to die for me, So that is the. So I could have said something like they are here to win the war. They are here to help all of us win the war. There's different ways of saying that. So
that means the English translation is not exact actually.
Yeah, correct. Who are how do you translate? They have given up their lives for us. Yeah, I suppose you can say that. Even we will understand it as though they are ready to give up their lives. Correct. Not exact. Correct. Not an exact translation. Not a literal translation. Correct. Okay.
I have another question.
Yeah, go ahead, Ramesh.
You were telling in Yudhishthira that Dharmaraya had a wife, Devaki. How many wives he had it other than Draupadi?
So, how many wives they had? Actually, I don't know the answer. So I've not kept track of the of that. And so
In
Bhima.
addition to Draupadi,
Hmm.
they had other wives also?
Yeah. So Bhima married a Rakshasa, right? What is her name?
Yeah.
Uh,
Hidambi.
Hidimba. Hidimba. So Hidimba's son is Gatotkacha, who also got killed in the war. So like this we see Arjuna married Subhadra. Subhadra was his wife. And so like this there are some marriages there that happened. So I don't know. Somebody else who is more familiar with the Mahabharata can tell us.
Thank you.
Yeah?
This
Somebody?
is the first time I came across Dharmaraya wife is Devaki.
Exactly.
Thank you.
So Devika is her name.
I have a question, if you permit me to ask.
Yeah, can you raise your hand so I can spot you?
This is Ami Katao.
Ami and yeah, so I'm still not able to spot you here on the screen.
Okay.
Oh, there you are. There you are. Sorry.
So I had a very funny question. If they're all following Dharma, how do they have so many wives? Or if it's a part of Dharma to have so many wives, when it has become very monogamous relationship later on?
Correct. So why do they have so many wives if they're all dharmic people? So the idea of dharma. So our idea of dharma is that you can only one person, one male and one female. That is the only dharmic thing to do. But those days it was not like that. So those who are great men or great women, doesn't matter. And great men, many women would line up to marry that person, that man. So kings means, I want to be with that king. Like that the idea comes, and I want children. And if I have children from this king, then my children will also be great. So this is the idea. So those days that dharma was very much there. So it may look odd to us, but it is not at all odd those days, not odd. So that's another example of dharma that changes with time. Okay. So so these days if you see people wearing dresses, sometimes in America I used to wonder whether they are wearing a dress or not. Sometimes you have to ask, is she wearing something? You have to look closely. So then you ask, what is dharma? Means what? What do you say? I can't say it's wrong because everybody is doing the same thing. So it must be right. And everybody accepts it's right, so it's right. And so it may be odd to me, but I'm a funny fellow in America anyway. So it's all right. So these things change with time, and so that's the way it is. I mean,
Guruji, as a follow-up to Ami's question, can we also say, other than polygamy, as she asked about, Draupadi's relationship was also kind of a polyandry where women has multiple husbands as well.
Yeah, correct. So, see, polyandry was not popular, but then you know the story how it came about. So some of you do, and
I know it's a mischievous question, but I just open it up so we can talk about it.
yeah, I mean how it came about. We should understand. If you those of you who don't know, so I think Arjuna went to a Swayamvara and then he married Draupadi. And they all Pandavas come with Draupadi being Arjuna's wife at that time, okay? And comes and then knocks on the door, Amma, Mom, look what I brought. Look what I brought. And Kunti. So she says, all right, beta, you please share whatever you brought, please share it among all brothers. This is what she says. And now there is a big debate. What do you do with this? She says, share it among all brothers. Means what? It is about Mysore Pak or what? To share with everybody. And so big debate goes on. What do you do? Because spoken word is so important. You can't. So this is those days. This is how life was. Me and Shiva and all that. I'm addressing you because those days the spoken word was so important. So having 5 wives or 10 wives is not a big deal. The spoken word, when it is important, then everything else is taken care of. Everything else is taken care of. So share everything means now they debated and finally they decided that okay, she will be the wife of all 5 Pandavas. That's how it was decided. So because it was a confusing situation for them also, and so they had to go to the International Court of Justice.
Jay Kumarji.
Yeah, go ahead.
Some of the reason that is one side of the story. The facts are some of the sect in North India even today they do marry more than one person. With the girl comes to the house, all the brothers have heard that one that S.L. Bhairappa, he has written in his book Parva. There he did lot of research. That his conclusion is even today, one small sect in North India, it is allowed. Also, they practice even today more than girl marrying more than one person.
Correct.
Did you come across?
No, I've heard about it, and it's not whether it is how common.
He did a lot of research. And he came out to the fact that it was practiced at that time also. And then coming back to our own era, about a few hundred years ago, when Hyderabad Nizam, he had 300 plus wives.
Yeah.
That's like that. Polygamy was allowed at the time.
Yeah. Polygamy was there very much. Yeah.
So
Polyandry also I have heard. I mean, I've seen instances, and at least I've read about instances. So must have been acceptable in that society.
Mahadaya, there is another interpretation in one of the Guru Charitram where they say Draupadi had a physical relation only with Arjuna, but with Dharmaraya, it was more on the intellectual and the political suggestions and related advices that she used to give. And with Bhima, it was more of quenching his hunger and preparing the dishes and other things. And for Nakula and Sahadeva, it was more on a motherly affection kind of relation. So, though it was only physical relation with Arjuna, the other relation what she had with other Pandavas were more on a non-physical and intellectual or philosophical relations. So in that sense, it was a husband and wife relation and not the actual sense of having a physical this things. This was one of the interpretation mentioned in Guru Charitra.
Yeah, so that may be true. And so that means she was really, in practice, she was the wife of only one person and not five people. That is fine. I think.
But Draupadi had 5 children. And
So
then
yeah, so we need to look into that. And if somebody can do that research and how many children she had and with whom she had children, if it is not Arjuna, etc., that would be an interesting data point to have. But even if she had children from all 5 of them, that was also okay. So those times are times we are talking about 5,000, 6,000 years ago. So they say, so the dating as giving a date to Mahabharata and 3,500 BCE, etc. Some dates I've seen 5,000 BCE, etc. So we're talking about so many millennia ago when life was very, very different.
You know, someone mentioned Nizam had 300 wives. Even today in Arab countries, when I was in Kuwait, I read one guy has 17 wives. And in the local newspaper, he came and he said, "This is my 91st child, and 92nd is on the way."
Yeah, you know, Mahesh.
So it is very common in that part of the world. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Less male and
I think we'll have to complete this conversation talking of Krishna as well, Guruji. I mean, what's your perspective on that?
What about Krishna?
Said to have multiple wives. I mean, I'm not very clear on that.
Yeah.
With all the gopis and also when he took over widows of one person whom he had killed as wives as well.
Narakasura. 16,008 wives, but 16,000 were from Narakasuras. He had held people captive, so they could not go back to the society because they will not be accepted. So he just gave them the married status, saying that you will be my wives. I don't know if there was physical relation or anything, but that was because they will not be accepted into the community. They were held captive by Narakasura. So that's why he gave them the status of his wife, and the 8 wives he already had before.
Yeah, so Krishna should be looked upon as a Rakshaka, Anatha Rakshaka. So those who are helpless, he protects. That's the idea. So he had so many wives and all. This are just is poetical and it may be true. You know, you be my wife, but that doesn't. It's not the same idea as we have when we think of husband and wife. And so it's a completely different relationship. You know, gopis and all are there. He's playing the flute, and all these women are just completely bewildered by his music, etc. So it's a rasa leela. It's just
that's what Bhagavatam, you know, it is basically, he was 7 years old, you know, and the gopis are so older than him. It is just the spiritual that when they have the Ras Leela, it's a spiritual union that happens. So it should not be interpreted as a physical thing that happens in our world at this time. But a lot of movies and things, they show it like that. So I guess we are kind of, sometimes it is misinterpreted. But if you read the scriptures, probably it's like the Krishna of Bhagavad Gita is totally different than what we see in movies and stuff like that. So I guess that's what Vivekananda said too. You have to know the Krishna of Bhagavad Gita to know what Krishna is, or from Bhagavatam, and then interpret.
Yeah, so we don't, our idea is all from movies and things like that, which itself is a dramatization. And so we don't really know what was the situation in those days, what was the relationship, etc. Very hard to even fathom. So we don't have any issues there, Shiva. It's just it's part of the story, and it's a Ishvara Deva Bhakta relationship. Deva Bhakta.
Absolutely. I mean, even now, to add to the earlier response, the gopis and Krishna relationship is still cited as the highest of bhakti yoga as a devotee relationship. So that's the way it's seen.
Yeah, exactly. Mirabai says, Mira ke Prabhu Giridhar Nagar. So just drowning in that thought of Krishna, and so bhakti, yeah, definitely. Good. So we will stop with that.